Hello and welcome to my channel. I am sharing with you today something I've been working on for a while, and it is my Antiquities journal series. I've got two of these beautiful journals completed, and one is already spoken for. It is on reserve. That is this one. I have named them Antiquities Midnight Amethyst Velvet, and this other one is Midnight Amethyst Silk, which I will share in a separate video, just to keep them shorter. I have this beautiful, unique, one-of-a-kind color velvet bundles that I was able to get from Sheila Gingrich from Boho Daydreams, which you know that I love to use her things. And I used up the whole velvet and lace bundle on both of these journals because all of the page edges have their laces as well. I came up with this ruched veiled pocket on the back and the front, of course. And what I did was use a scarf, and I took it apart a little bit. It came with the lace hanging off the end of it. So I just picked it off and applied it on the front or the top of the little pocket here. And I just love it. I think it's really, really sweet. I've got a couple of handmade tags in the front pockets. Use some mixed media techniques throughout this journal. I've got some very fine, very, very fine artisan paper, some music paper, some scrapbook paper, an image from the kit, some cheesecloth that has the gold metallic threads in it, an applique with some gold metallic thread in it, and a beautiful red sari bow backed onto parchment paper. This other one has some vintage French book page, bit of cheesecloth, a beautiful piece of applique lace, and the seam binding with the vintage buttons attached to the ends of them, done on some planner paper. And those are just really sweet. I've got the coordinating sari silk ties and Sheila's beautiful dangle beads here. Also used her coordinating seam binding, of course, throughout the journal. So I think it's got about 18 pages times 4 is about 72 pages that you can use for writing on. And it's a single signature journal. So let's just have a look inside. This is where I got the title or the name inspiration for the journals collection that I've done here, Antiquities, which means from the ancient past. I used mostly digitals from Lenart Studios, which I've used before. I really like them. I think this one is called Vintage Victorian Collection. Just made a little extra booklet out of papers, and these are from chapter 1, I think, Receipts and Invoices. A beautiful fussy cut flower and some beads, and another large journaling tag as on the front cover. Here's another one of the beautiful, beautiful applique laces that's included in the lace bundle from Sheila. I've also got her coordinating velvet, the ½ inch on the side of the page here. And look at these beautiful laces. Isn't that just stunning? I am so in love with it. Absolutely beautiful. Lovely image on the right here. Little pocket and some extra journaling space. I didn't do much stamping or stenciling or anything in this particular set of journals. Some lined paper. This is a very, very old paper doily that I have. Some of the images from the kit that I've included, and added some lovely, lovely, beautiful vintage lace that I love to use. Here are some authentic pieces of ephemera vintage. This particular envelope is from 1940. And I always like to include at least one postcard. In my journals, those seem to be a little bit easier for me to get a hold of. I've got some tea-dyed tracing paper. A lace pocket. This is eyelet. And in this particular pocket, I've got a couple of journaling cards, some German book page, music paper, some vintage wallpaper, a die-cut flower, and some stamping from Sam Poole's Dates from the Past, I think the series of stamps is called. And then just a tall skinny tag with some paper punched edges at the bottom and the top. And we've got some beautiful vintage buttons. I just love to use them so much. A little short flat page with some antique French lace, and I've just threaded some of the seam binding through there. And done a pocket on this side of the flap, fussy cut flower, and some very old vintage stationery, and a tiny envelope that the recipient can use if she would like. This journal and the other one are both created especially for our retreat that we're having next month in Vermont. And this recipient is one of the participants in that retreat. Vintage wallpaper on this tag, some beautiful vintage lace, some of Sheila's silk textile, some very antique trim. That came from Georgianne. Isn't that beautiful? Got several of her pieces in here. It's so much fun having a friend that you can share and trade your treasures with. Blue parchment paper, book page from Les Miserables, some music sheet, beautiful eyelet cotton dyed lace trim on the side from Sheila. Tiny little pocket on this page. This digital is from Lorna Taylor. And this little ticket says Antiquities. Just had to tuck that in there because it was perfect. Lots of space for journaling, of course. I always like to leave a lot of room for that. One of the postcards from the kit that I've just added some beautiful, beautiful, delicate French antique lace on the bottom. Here is an antique French applique. Just so beautiful, and I just thought I would hang it from a bulb pin at the top. This is from some vintage curtain panel that I have. I've done some texture paste stenciling and just some more stamping. And this is actually piano roll paper underneath, backed onto parchment paper. Those are so fun to do. A little tiny pocket here. This lace is really amazing. It is eyelet cotton, but it's got this extra trim on the edge of it, and I've never seen that before. It's just so very pretty. It's ruffled. Got an envelope here that I made by stamping all over it first, and then just added the corner of a beautiful vintage handkerchief. This particular one actually had 4 corners, so I'm able to get 4 envelope flaps out of it, which I just love. And then I've just tucked a little bit of some leftover ephemera pieces for the new owner to add or use elsewhere if she would like. And then just a bit of a dangle, pearl dangle on this large paper clip. Beautiful image. And some more of Sheila's gorgeous dyed lace on the side. I have just tucked in a small booklet that I have sewn and added some beautiful beads. This color of velvet and the bundle that I used was very unique. It's, like I said, it's more amethyst, but it's got hints of navy and purple, and it's just so beautiful. Just a little space for extra journaling. And it just tucks back in here, and I've got some antique silver trim on the bottom of this piece of lace. More lovely vintage lace on the side. Some Edith Holden book page in the center. And then I've got these very long dangles that I've come up with. I'm just loving the extra long dangles. And I just added a little piece of the seam binding to fancy it up. I just love using beads and dangles. Some more gorgeous lace on the side. Another piece of Sheila's embroidered trim. This idea I got from Lorna Taylor from Tailor Made Journals. It is a vintage lace sample swatch. And she just created a journaling card, turned the flap over, sewed it all around, and added these beautiful laces. I mean, you could cut them off and use them somewhere else if you would like. I've got some organza silk as the topper and some little charms. And that just tucks back into there. These are so fun to make. This page is a little bit of a fold out where you can do some extra journaling if you'd like. Got a journaling card. You've seen me make these before for those of you that watch my videos. It's backed onto granite paper. Some vintage German book page. Lovely image from Ruby and Pearl's Vintage Ladies. Some antique French lace and mother pearl buttons. Music paper and one of Odalcina Ann's fussy cut flowers. And then this page, I've got some lovely lace that I have tea dyed, and then I've added this beautiful color of red, like a cerise red seam binding. Or moments there, just a little tuck spot pocket here for a journaling card or a tag, and I've just collaged it a bit at the top. A small tag made out of Edith Holden book page and some beautiful Point d'Esprit netting. I love making toppers with those. Here we've got a gorgeous applique, a little journaling card similar to one on the front with some vintage buttons attached to the seam binding. Beautiful applique from Georgianne, and I've got some cheesecloth and some vintage French book page, and it's done onto a lined journaling card on the back. Some beautiful lace on the side here from Sheila's bundle. Some Les Mis book page, blue parchment paper, another tag using vintage wallpaper, and some of the stamping from Sam Poole's collection. A die cut. This aubergine color is just so stunning. This paper color is really hard to get. I've got some from years back, and I just use it very sparingly. Perfect matching color in the sari silk topper. And this is part of the vintage curtain panel that I have, and I love to use it. It's my business card, just a little tuck spot for a flower and some extra journaling paper. These fussy cut flowers are from Odalcina Ann. I love her stuff. I love following her work. So very inspiring. And the other side of the flap with the antique lace and the seam binding threaded through it. This piece of Sheila's dyed eyelet cotton lace. I just made a little spot for a very tall skinny tag, used some of the images from the kit, backed it onto parchment paper, and it just tucks nicely into the side here. Another one of these beautiful vintage paper doilies. They're textured like they're embossed. It's roses. Very beautiful, but very fragile. One of the tags that I've made for this collection, just using some cardstock, one of the images, a couple of images from the kit, and also just some extra journaling space here. Beautiful cut lace on the side of the page here. Lots of space for journaling, more book page. And this tuck spot, I've included some vintage notebook paper and a parchment bag for her to put some treasures or memorabilia or notes, whatever she would like, once she starts using it. And this beautiful heart appliqued net lace on the side of the page. This is the last image in the journal. Isn't that just so very regal? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, these vintage ladies. And a pocket using Sheila's beautiful lace. Thank you card for the recipient. I like to include that as a personal touch for anyone who does purchase my journals. And just some extra journaling space, a booklet, a single page that I've folded over. And the inside cardstock that I used was from Stamperia. So that is Antiquities Midnight Amethyst Velvet. And the next video will showcase the silk version of this. Thanks so much for watching.